Hey y'all, my name is Caitlin. If you're new here, hi, it's nice to meet you. Today's video, I just wanted to say before I do anything or say anything, is just for fun. I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus or make a guy rethink his life. It's just for fun, just part of the Valentine's Day series that I am so excited to share with you all. So this is the first episode of that, and I hope you all enjoy. For each date, I'm gonna be giving a score of the experience and then the guy. Ratings are just gonna be like off of personality, what a gentleman he was or wasn't, and then just like the creativity of the date. This first one is by far like the worst date I've ever been on. In high school, I did speech and debate and I met this guy there. He came up to me singing that song Mine by Bozzy, and he was saying that I was so precious. And then he asked me for my number and I gave it to him. We texted for a little bit and then we never really talked after that, but we would see each other at tournaments, say hi, whatever. One day he hits me up out of nowhere. I'm sure it was during Mercury retrograde. He was like, when are we going on a date? And I was like, whenever you ask me. He was like, I'm gonna take you to a gourmet restaurant. I'm gonna take you to the finest restaurant in town. Oh, the finest restaurant in town? That's an 11? I was really out here like, I'm gonna be sitting in some fine dining. As we continued the conversation, he made it clear that he wanted to take me to his house and then cook for me. So he was like saying the finest gourmet restaurant in town was his kitchen, and I was like, oh, that's sweet, I'm down. I tell him that he can pick me up on, I think it was a Sunday. So he picks me up on Sunday. He doesn't even open the door for me. That was the first red flag. And we started driving to his house. And I'm kind of thinking he's probably a good cook, let's go. He sits me down at the table. He opens up the fridge. Then he pulls out 2 different meal preps. And then he asked me which one I wanted. And I was like, I'll take the one with pasta. And then he throws it in the microwave and then he serves it to me. And I was just like, can you take me home? And then I never spoke to him after that. I'm going to rate the guy a D. He wasn't a gentleman. He didn't like come to my door. He didn't open the door for me for the car. And the conversation wasn't that great. And for the date, I'm gonna give it an F. You can't just tell a girl like, I'm gonna take you to the finest gourmet restaurant in town and then get her excited about going to a nice restaurant. But if you kind of like sidetrack it and say like, oh, I'm gonna cook for you, you can't get her excited about you cooking for her if you're just gonna throw a meal prep in the microwave. I honestly wouldn't even call that a date. It was just a failed date. So definitely giving it an F and a D for a score of D-. Now for a good date. This is by far one of the best first dates that I've been on with the guy, and he slid into my DMs. He was like, let's get coffee or whatever, and I was like, okay. So he picks me up and he comes to the door. Whoa, the bar is low, right? The bar is low. I'm impressed by someone coming to the door, but I truly, genuinely appreciate a gentleman. It was a this kind of moment. We get to his car, he opens the door, and then we're just like talking. He's like, you look great. He's like, what do you say we go downtown for some coffee? And I was like, I would love to. We go to the little coffee box downtown. I ordered a latte, and then we walk around downtown and it's a little bit cold, so he gives me his jacket. You know, just the romantic gentleman stuff. We sit down downtown, we're having a great conversation. We're talking about how we're having our own little winter fest because we didn't really have a winter fest in my city this year. They usually have like all these food trucks and all these events and an ice skating rink, but because of COVID that didn't happen. But he was just saying we're gonna have our own little winter fest, whatever. After we are talking downtown, he's like, do you want to go to Scenic Drive? And I was like, I would love to. We get to his car, we go to Scenic Drive, and we just have a great conversation. I just think that it was one of the best first dates because it was so simple, but it was so much fun at the same time. Well, I'm definitely gonna give date and the guy an A+, I guess. It's just a really great example as to how you can just go on like a nice, simple, but still a date, first date, and it can be a lot of fun. So definitely A+ for that one. Next bad date. It lives in my head rent-free, this story. This guy was a car guy and he wanted a Mustang, and eventually he got it, so I'm happy for him. But before that, he was driving like a little black car. I don't even know what it was because I honestly like don't know cars. And This was like the second time we were hanging out, we were talking, and he called it a date. And he was like, let's go on a little date for tonight, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'm down. He picks me up. He takes me to those little like car wash places. Just like this. He leaves me in the car. He doesn't even invite me like out of the car. And he just starts washing his car. Broom, broom. Overall, I would rate him a C. He was like fun sometimes, so definitely gonna give him a C. For the date, I'm gonna give it a D. I can't believe he did that, genuinely. If you're dating someone for like a while and then y'all are like, let's wash our cars together. See, that's a little bit different. But if you're gonna be courting a woman, do not take her to wash your car, because I'm telling you, she doesn't care about your car. Only you care about your car. C- with that. I know I said earlier that that first date was the worst date I've ever been on, but I just remembered more details about this one, and it really just takes the cake. This guy, he was like a friend of mine, and he told me he needed a date to the corn maze because him and his coworkers were gonna go. He asked me to be his date, and I was like, okay, sure, would love to do that. On the way there, he's like not even talking to me. We're just like, it's like really awkward. When we got to the corn maze, I was literally like, this is about to be a disaster. I am so unwell. I'm not ready for this. I don't want to be here. But I'm like, okay, I have to go in with a good attitude. I have to be nice to his coworkers, whatever. We get down, and then I'm like walking around, and he's like, oh, these are my coworkers. The coworkers were like, hi. And they weren't even that nice, which obviously isn't his fault, but I just didn't appreciate it. He wasn't even talking to me. Like, he was just talking to his coworkers, and I was like, how do I be social? Because I was the youngest girl there, and the other two girls that were there were like a lot older than me, and they know each other and stuff. So I'm just like there trying to figure out how I can be social, how I can be a good date. And it was really hot and really, really sunny outside. I was so sleepy. The sun really makes me sleepy. So I was outside, like ready for a nap, and we're just walking around. And we didn't even go inside the corn maze. Like, the whole point of the corn maze is to go in the corn maze and get out. But we didn't even go inside. I looked all cute, and I was just looking at the corn like, man, I wish I was lost there. We went to the food truck, and he didn't even offer to get me anything. And he got himself a lemonade. And then we go to sit down, like, to eat or whatever, and he's like there drinking his lemonade, and then he offers me his lemonade, but he never offered me a lemonade. Obviously, I know I'm an independent woman. I can get myself a lemonade. I just thought it was really not courteous of him to do that. And I just feel like if you're gonna invite someone to be your date to impress your coworkers, you should at least talk to them. You should at least offer a lemonade, anything. It was like the worst date I've been on. And on the way back, I just didn't talk. I was exhausted. For the guy, I'm gonna give him a D. Not much gentlemanly manners there. And then for the date, I'm gonna give it an F. I don't know if F minus is a thing, but definitely not fun. Uncomfortable situation. Ladies, if something is telling you not to go somewhere, don't go. Next one, a great date. This boy I met through a mutual friend of ours, and he's just a really like genuine, nice kid. He was like, do you want to go on a picnic today? This time I was working 2 jobs, so I was just like really, really tired. And he was always like really understanding of that. So he was like, I'll take you to a picnic. Like, you don't have to worry about anything. I'll figure it out, blah, blah, blah. He takes me to this remote little park in the mountains, and he pulls out like these huge blankets. They're like the Mexican blankets that you get from like downtown. He just laid them out, and then he pulled out a bunch of grapes, a bunch of candies, chocolate covered almonds, waters, and it was just so sweet and so thoughtful. I really, really appreciated it. I'm gonna give this guy an A because he's a good kid. The date, I'm gonna give it an A+ because he bought all of the food and he like laid it out in a nice little arrangement, and he was such a gentleman. So definitely gonna give the date an A+ and the guy an A for an overall score of A. I don't know what A+ averaged out with an A is. Middle A. This next date is a lot of fun. I have never gone on a date like this, and I don't think I will again, but this kid that I knew was super sweet. His dad owns like a really, really nice, like fancy house, So he was like, my dad's going out of town this weekend, I want to show you his house. And I was like, okay, great. He drives me up there, and then he's like telling me about the house, and I'm like walking around because I feel like I'm on an episode of House Hunters and my budget is like a lot of money. I don't know about y'all, but when I was younger I would be like, oh, their budget is only $400,000, cheap. But obviously I had no concept of money. Walking around, and he's like, oh, like, do you want to play music? There's speakers throughout the house. And I was like, play some Taylor Swift. I would love to hear Taylor Swift.
I love Taylor Swift. I'm the biggest Taylor Swift fan.
So he's playing like Taylor Swift, and he's like giving me a little tour. He's like, this is the master bedroom, and he's like, if you go outside, there's this little balcony, and we go on the balcony and you can see the whole city, and I'm just like, wow, amazing. And he's like, this is the kitchen area, and the kitchen was huge. It had a huge fridge, lots of cabinets, and it was just like really nice. From every single window you could see the city, and it just looked so nice. It was a lot of fun. There's a little selfie that I took, and I just wanted to put the flowers that he got me because I felt it was an honorable mention. I'm gonna give the guy an A and the date an A for an overall score of A because it was a fun date. He's a great guy. This date is from a guy that I dated in high school. I dated him my junior year. We had each other for class, and I honestly didn't know like anything about him. I just like know I had him for class. He DM'd me. He was like, are you dating anyone? And I was like, no, why? Like, did you realize you're in love with me? And he was like, yeah, you're really pretty. And I was like, okay. And we started talking, texting, whatever. He was like, let's go to the fair. The fair's in town. And I was like, okay, I'm down. He picks me up in his big old truck, and we get there. We're like in the fair, and he's like trying to win me like a little bear and stuff like that. And I was like, you know, they're finessing you, right? Like, these games are literally made to make you lose. And he was just so persistent on it. I was like, come on, like, you're just being like ego driven right now. You're gonna waste like all your money trying to get me a little bear like you can buy at the dollar store. And he was like, no, like, I want to get it for you. And I was like, come on, like, just one more game. And then he didn't win, and they were finessing him. So then he's like, okay, it's fine. And then we get on the little rides at the fair, and then we get on like the Ferris wheel and stuff like that. Wow. And it was a lot of fun. I had always wanted to go on like a romantic date on the fair, so I was just excited. Okay, so that last part got cut out, but I just wanted to say that the fair date was super fun. Me and this kid were off-roading in his big old truck, and we literally, as soon as we got in the sand, we got stuck. We had to be pulled out by so many people. There were like trucks stopping by, and it was like a whole scene. It was so dramatic, and I was kind of scared because I was like afraid for him. I didn't want him to get in trouble with his parents or anything like that. He just got help from some precious humans that decided to stop and help us, so I really appreciate that. And I always say that you should help people whenever you're given the chance, because God might be answering someone's prayers through you. And thankfully people pulled us out. I'll insert like pictures and videos and stuff, but it was definitely like a little bit of a scary moment because I was worried about like his well-being. I was worried about my well-being. This is a video I took from that night. I'm laughing in the video, and there we are, stuck. Stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna give the guy a B just because like he was nice, but like that was it. And he wasn't even like that nice. So yeah, but the date, I'm definitely gonna give it an A+ because like I said, I had always wanted to go on like a really fun, cute little fair date, and I finally got to do that. So yeah, the last date. The last good date. And I'm not saying that I haven't been on other good dates before, but these are like the best ones. These are the memorable ones. Anyway, this guy, we had talked like in 2018 or something. I don't even remember. And we just like stopped talking. He like ghosted me, but it's like his personality trait to ghost people. He was like, Caitlin, I want to take you out. I promise I'm not gonna ghost you. Just, you know, the whole speech that guys give. And I was like, okay. Have to start using men for their money. He picks me up in his truck, and he was like, where do you want to go? It was already established that we were gonna go to dinner, but he was like, where do you want to go? Anywhere. And he was like, oh, I know where we should go. And he was like, it's kind of far though. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, your gas. Have to start using men for their money. So then he takes me to Cattleman's, and Cattleman's is like the best steak ever, at least in my opinion. I see a Fruit Loops bird. I see like the different animals that they have there, and then they like temperature check us because of the pandemic, obviously. and we go inside and we sit down and we have like good conversation. It was a great steak. I absolutely love steak, huge fan of steak, and I had it with like a baked potato and some lemonade. We're talking, it's fun, and then he's like, we're gonna go off-roading with one of my friends, and I was like, okay, that's great. We go back to his house. I meet his little sister. His little sister is like the coolest girl I know. I have never met any really cool younger sibling, and that girl, will never forget her. His friend shows up with his girlfriend and they load the quads into the truck, and then we all go to Red Sands. Before we go to Red Sands, we go to the gas station and he's like, do you want anything? And I was like, just this, and I like gave him some candy. And I offered to pay for it, but he was like, no.
Have to start using men for their money.
I go back to the truck, and then we go to Red Sands, and we like off-road for a little bit on the quad. And I always say that I have like bad luck with off-roading because there are so many times where I will go off-roading with a guy and it just like goes wrong. Like the first time a guy tried to take me off-roading, his Jeep like broke somehow and we almost couldn't get out of the sand. The other time I went off-roading with one of my friends who's a guy, we like fell off the quad. So I was just like, okay, we'll see how this goes. Thankfully, nothing bad happened. We like drove around the Red Sands. A lot of people were there, so it was just a lot of fun. We sat, we minded our business, and then he took me home. Overall, I'm gonna give this guy an A- for personality because I think that he lies a lot, but he's like fine as a friend. Like if he was just a friend, he'd be cool. But for the date, I'm gonna give it an A because it was a lot of fun. It was simple, but it was just like fun and adventurous, and the food was really, really good. So I'm gonna give it an overall score of like a middle A. Alright, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for watching. Remember that this video is just for fun. I'm not trying to put anyone on blast, not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but yeah, like I said, this is the first video of my Valentine's Day series, so be sure to give this video a thumbs up for more, and be sure to leave a comment as to like which dates have been really bad that you've been on or like a really good date that you've been on. I would absolutely love to hear you all's stories. So kisses till next time. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting the channel. Like I always say, it means the world to me. I'll have my social medias in the description below, and I hope you all have a great week.